welcome to Widowed Too Soon. This is Michelle Bader Ebersole. I'm sitting here with my friend and co-host Mark Massaro. How's it going, Mark?
It's going great. How are you?
Good. How's 2024 so far? We've had a lot of days.
Yes, now that we're so far into the year. Actually, it's crazy because we just recorded what, like 3 days ago?
It wasn't that long ago, so we might not
Yeah,
have a lot of
so
new stuff. Maybe
not a whole
four.
lot's happened. Yeah, but yeah, it's going great. I had another day at work. You know, nothing
Yes.
too exciting to report except for that Tina is visiting, which is awesome.
Oh, yay. It seems like you guys are seeing each other more often, like that you're able to
Yes,
work more trips.
well, it's because of she's on a break from work.
Oh, okay. That's
So she's
awesome.
able to visit more, and we used to do a lot more of the like back and forth, but then I got this
Yeah,
job and I'm working like 50 hours a week, and my days off are Wednesday and Sunday, so
right.
it's I can't really plan to like take a
Yeah.
trip or anything, but I was
Oh,
able
that's
to
so
go there
fun.
last time because I had no childcare over Christmas break, and my
Mm-hmm.
job was super flexible with it, and so that just worked out that we just packed up the car and went and visited Tina in West Virginia. So
Is she in the
but so
background?
yeah,
Can I say hi? Is she there?
she is in
Not
the
literally
background,
there.
but she's doing stuff on her
Hi,
computer and she's a little shy.
Tina.
Michelle yelled
Okay, well,
hi. She said hello.
that's awesome. I love that she's like literally right there. That's so great.
I know. She's doing some work on her computer, so
So
um
fun. Anyways,
yes,
I
but she
interrupted
does
you
say
because I was
hi.
all
No, it's
excited that she's
okay.
visiting.
Yes, the audience really is so curious right now. Come
I
on,
know,
Tina.
I know. So
Step into the
tell the
picture. No, just kidding.
tell the world what happened to your iPhone. I just think it's
Oh,
interesting.
thanks. Thanks for throwing me under the bus. That's awesome. So I dropped my phone and broke it. That's the whole
Mm.
story.
Like, is it an
Yes.
exciting story? Were you on your skateboard and then like came out of
No,
pocket while you were doing
no,
your
it is not
no?
exciting. I just was dumb and dropped it. So
Yeah.
it is shattered pretty good. So they're fixing it
Yes.
right now. I'm getting a new screen on my iPhone. No, Rob, I did not switch back to Android. I'm fixing
No.
my iPhone. But
Yeah.
you know what's funny is, so I got home and I was all concerned. That's why I reached out to you on Messenger because I was like afraid you were going
Yeah.
to say like, "Oh, we're going to 1:30 or we're going to do whatever," and I wasn't going to get your
Uh-huh.
text. But I got the Messenger message on my Apple Watch still, which I was confused about
Oh yeah, that still
because I don't have
works.
my phone. But Tina said, "Well, it's probably the Wi-Fi or whatever." I'm like, "Oh
Yeah.
yeah, you're so smart."
You're
So
smart like that.
so yeah.
Yes.
So anyways, yeah, not much else, going on with me. What's up with you?
Well, it's snowing, which is fun. It's the
Oh, that's
first snow of
awesome.
the year, but it's kind of raining too. Slushy. So the kids were all excited last night. Snow day, we're gonna have a snow day. And like literally all the other schools in the area were like 2 hours late or closed or whatever. And we're not. But I let Haley skip choir because they had to be there at like 7:10. I was like, you're not driving in the dark and the snow. And then anyways, they went to school. But the roads, she told me the roads were fine. So that's, the big exciting news around here. I had my MRI last night.
Mm,
So that was a little triggering because it's right across the street from the hospital where Luke first got his chemo, like when he was first sick years ago. But it was a different building, and Joel took me and they gave me some stuff to relax and covered my eyes, and I just literally prayed the whole time. And so it wasn't that bad. And now it's just kind of, waiting on the results. I'm still hearing ringing in my ear, which if you've
mm,
never had that, like you're fortunate. It is one of the most maddening sounds I've ever heard, but I'm learning a lot about it. I've actually had some meetings with some people online. It's called tinnitus or tinnitus, depending on how you pronounce it, that you can actually habituate to. It's kind of like, let's say you have a watch. You notice your watch at first on your wrist, but eventually you don't notice it. It's kind of like that. Your
mm.
your body gets used to it. So I'm listening to all these sounds on YouTube all the time, and I'm trying to get used to it. So I'm okay. Like I'm like, you know what, God, it's okay. Like you're gonna get me through this one way or the other. I'm still praying for complete healing and answers for just like all this weird stuff that's been going on in the last couple months. I did have some really rough days. Like I think it was also because I was taking steroids, which messed up like my moods. I think because I just could not stop crying.
Yeah.
It was just like felt totally hopeless. And Joel said maybe God's allowing you to go through this so you can know how some of the people you work with feel. Like just that hopelessness, or they're going through something physical, or I'm just trying to be like, okay, God, what am I learning through this, and it's to
Yeah.
com
It's a good
to com
perspective.
yeah, completely trust God. So anyways, that's the big stuff going on there. And I think that's about it. Since we podcast like a week ago,
I
we
have
don't
one
have
more
like.
super
Oh
exciting thing.
yes, I want to hear.
I bought a treadmill and
You
it showed up
did?
yesterday, and Tina and I
That's
are going to put
fun.
it together. Yeah. My kids are all excited about it, but it's, oh my gosh, the box is huge and it's like 200 pounds. So I was like wrestling
Wow.
to get it from my porch into my garage yesterday. And Alexis is like, I'll
Wow.
help you. And like her helping me was just like her coming over and like talking to me about things like about her day or whatever.
That's cute.
I'm like, thanks for the help, honey. No, but I did, once I got it off the porch, I like lifted one side and had her put like a flat dolly under it so I could like wheel it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, so I'm excited about having a treadmill.
But are you a runner?
No, I'm not a runner. Tina's trying to get me to be. I have running shoes.
Okay.
If I lifted up my feet, I'd show you some really cool running shoes
Yeah.
that I have. But
Yeah.
I've gone running with her. I was going to say a couple times, but I think it was only once. It was once.
Oh, there she is. She's like, yes, one time.
Yeah. So she's trying to get me to be a runner. She's trying to get me to like country music,
Oh, I like all these things that she likes. That's great.
Yeah. So no, but it's cool. So
So
but no,
treadmill
I want
is-
to get it for like walking, and eventually maybe I'll start running on it. But it's been so hard. I mean, and it's funny because like I do walk a lot. I'm on my feet all day, but I still would like to be able to have that like outlet that I can just like step away and just go walk on the treadmill for a little bit.
Yes.
And then I might build myself up to running, but I've never really been a runner, you know?
Yeah. It's pretty fun.
Now before Tina, I had a very different perspective on it. I was like, running is stupid. Like, you know, like it was just this, you know, I'm like, why would you want to run like for fun?
Mm-hmm.
But ever since when I was really into mountain bike riding and, and I experienced that what do they call it? The runner's high. Yeah. I experienced that one time when I was pushing myself super hard and I was like, whoa, this is like amazing. So there is a part of me that wants to like chase that feeling again, even though that was like several years ago. So I could now picture myself getting into running, but also mostly it's because, you know, I want to do things that make Tina happy.
Aw, I love it. That's awesome.
It's getting
great
a round
that
of
she's
applause over
listening
here.
right now. I love it. That's so you have a live audience right there. That's
I do have a live audience. It's rad.
That's great. I thought of one more thing and then we'll get into our episode. So I met with a publisher yesterday. So that's kind of exciting. Nice. I'm not going to go this route because they want to charge you money. I'm not going a route where I pay. I've done that. So I've done that, you know, I self-published, I paid someone, and now I am trying to get with a traditional publisher. But it just got me more excited about my book, Widow Goals, Steps to Finding Peace When You Lose Your Spouse. And I also had some encouragement. I met with a widow yesterday and I mentioned my book. She's like, I can't wait. You have so much wisdom. And it was so strange to me. Like she's probably like in her 70s, like saying to me, or upper 60s, I don't know, like you have wisdom. And I was like, wow, you know, it's totally God. But she was like, I can't wait to read your book. And it just got me all excited, awesome. You know, just like back into this, like, this is what I'm doing. I want to finish it in the next 2 months and like really get it out there. So enough about me. Let's get into our episode. So I'm super excited. We have a guest today. It's been a little bit since we've had a guest. So my friend Andi Beique is with us today. And Andi and I met, I believe, through Facebook. She had a podcast and she interviewed me and we recently caught up. So we're very similar in our journeys, a little over 3.5 years-ish. And we caught up recently and I was like, you got to be a guest on our podcast. Just all the things that she's doing with her life, the healing that God has done in her heart, and just the zest she has for life. So welcome, Andi.
Yes, welcome. Thanks for being here. I have a quick question. Okay, so it was a while ago when Michelle was on your podcast, right?
Yeah.
Years.
Okay. Were you the one that said that I put you to sleep?
Oh, yeah. Like that was it. Yes.
I thought so. I thought that was you. Okay. I'm like, what? But I get what you were saying. It was funny.
You have a very soothing voice.
Okay.
It's not that you put me to sleep because you were boring.
Uh-huh.
Well, I remember I was like typing in the chat bubble or whatever it was, and So,
I remember
anyways,
that.
I just had to like say that real quick.
Totally remember that. You're like, she said I put her to sleep. That's funny.
That's awesome.
If he got a voiceover job reading audiobooks, I'd never make it through any of the chapters that I just read.
Oh, that's a compliment.
So
That's
okay,
awesome.
so I won't do that as a career. I will not be. What do you just call it? A read over?
But but actually it's a compliment because it's very soothing. It's like you just feel relaxed and calm. I'm like, oh, this guy's voice just makes me feel relaxed.
Yeah, it's a great
maybe I should
thing.
do like maybe I should read like what do you call those, the like meditation
yes, you could do that.
Yes,
that's awesome.
You could just read scripture. That's perfect.
Oh, that would be good. An idea for another way to make money.
There you go. Anyways, so I'm sorry to interrupt with that. I just had to say that.
Yes. So we'd love to know. Let's just start with your story. So maybe let's go way back and tell us about how you met your husband and just this journey that God's taken you through.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me as a guest. This is really fun and exciting. I love these kinds of opportunities to share. And so I just want to thank both of you.
Oh, you're welcome.
You're very welcome.
Wow. So I'm 54. I'll be 55 this year. And I met my husband when I was in my mid-20s living in San Jose, California. I got a job at a place called Classic Hawaii, and they sold trips, wholesale. It was like wholesale packages, trips to Hawaii, and so we met at work.
Okay.
So we were coworkers. There was I had an instantaneous crush on him the moment that I saw him. Come to find out, he also felt the same way about me. But the funny thing is that neither one of us thought that the other one was interested. I was like, I'm not his type. There's no way he'd be interested. He thought the same about me. So we just became really good friends because neither one of us was willing to take the risk to get shot down. So,
yeah.
And our common interest in music, and we're both from the Bay Area. So, we both were born and raised in the Bay Area. So we had a lot of common interests and things related to where we lived and stuff like that. So that was our connection. We were friends for 2.5 years before we ever dated, but we had a mad crush on each other.
It's cute.
So that's where we met, and that's how it all started. He was Hawaiian, French, and Chinese.
Oh, wow.
And I'm Puerto Rican and Mexican.
Wow.
Okay.
So, yeah, we used to like to say that our kids are just confused.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I've actually been to San Jose a few times. Isn't that where and that's where like the mystery spot, right? Are you familiar with that? Have you ever heard of that?
Mystery.
Or isn't the Winchester House San Jose?
Oh,
yeah,
I've been
okay.
there. Yeah.
Yeah,
which I've never been to.
I haven't either. I really wanted to go, but I just didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yep.
Nice.
So we were married for 25 years. We got married. I was 26 and he was just about turning 30 when we got married, and we had 3 children. We raised 4. We adopted 1, so we had 3 sons and a daughter, and they're all adults now. And and I currently live in Nashville, Tennessee area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it's
we
not
moved
too far.
here. Yeah, we moved here 2008, summer of 2008.
Oh, okay. That's cool. So what transpired? Like, what happened? And I apologize. I'm hearing about your story for the first time too.
Oh, okay. So basically, he died of cancer. He had multiple myeloma, which is bone marrow cancer. And it was kind of weird because he had been feeling years prior to being diagnosed just a bunch of stuff that we attributed to getting older. Pain in his knee and pain in his back, and I can't, he would go to lift weights and not have the same strength that he used to have, and He was trying to lose weight and get in better shape. So he had done a couple of the marathons, the Spartan races.
Oh yeah.
He was really, trying to do things to improve his health, but he was feeling like, he just didn't have the same energy that he used to have and things of that nature. So we knew something was off, but again, like I said, we just attributed it to getting older. He was, pushing into his 50s already, late 40s at the time when he was doing all of that. And what happened was he got sick. He got like just regular sick. And it seemed like he couldn't fight it. The fatigue, like he was just so tired. He was working a regular job, trying to work out, going to school for real estate. And he's like, I'm so tired. So I'm like, go to the doctor. So he went and they told him that he had mono. That's what they said originally. Wow. And so he was really baffled because he's like, mono? And they were like, yeah, well, if you had it as a teenager, then it lays dormant and it can resurface in your adult years and this and that. He's like, he couldn't recollect ever having mono when he was a teenager. So we were just really baffled, but they just were like, get a lot of rest, drink a lot of water, take a lot of vitamins, all the kind of regular stuff they tell you. And they told him that to be careful because one thing with mono is you could rupture your spleen. And so I was away with my daughter in Georgia that weekend for a concert, and he called me and he's like, hey, I think I ruptured my spleen. And I'm like, what? And he said, yeah, I carried a case of water upstairs so I wouldn't have to keep going downstairs to get water. And I'm just really in a lot of pain. And so I said, well, honey, have one of the boys take you to the hospital. So he went, and for what he thought was a ruptured spleen, and they started running tests, and his numbers were just all over the map. So they called in a cancer
oncologist.
Oncologist.
Yeah.
Like, why did it? They called in an oncologist, and then that's when they were like, think your numbers don't. Something else is going on. So the mono was a misdiagnosis. Come to find out, once they called the oncologist, then they started to notice that there was something else going on. And then that's when they discovered that he indeed had multiple myeloma, the bone marrow cancer. He diagnosed on a Thursday, started treatment on the Monday, the following week. So It was just, completely out of nowhere. Looking back, he was probably walking around like that for several years with no idea.
What year was it that they diagnosed him?
Diagnosed in 2018.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, so 2.5 years he went through all the chemo, all of the, like you guys know, he did a bone marrow transplant. It was years and years, and even when he wasn't doing chemo, he was on maintenance medication. So it was always doctor visits every single week for the 2.5 years before.
Were there ever any signs of improvement or hope during that time?
Yes. Yes. As a matter of fact, right up into the very end, because he qualified for a clinical trial. And there's a doctor here in Nashville that specializes in that kind of cancer. So he was on the clinical trial, and there were actually great signs of improvement, that his body was responding well to the treatment and all, but he kept complaining of this neck pain right in the back of his neck. And even though he was improving, we'd see the numbers were getting better every week. And the doctor was like, hey, you're responding well. We're going to keep the treatment and all of that. What we didn't know until later was that the cancer had made its way to his spine. So once it gets to your spinal cord, they stop treatment. There's nothing they can do at that point. So
yeah, Lacey had it in her spine too.
Yeah. So once it gets there, then you get there's nothing, we've done everything that we can. There's nothing else we can do except make him comfortable. So basically that was that. And then moved to hospice center, and that we had 2 weeks after that.
Oh gosh.
Wow. Wow. And how were your kids during this time?
during that time.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they were like me. We were all the same because we felt a little blindsided because,
Yeah.
with the clinical trial, we were being told that he was responding well. And listen, if anything, I did have the understanding that that type of cancer, you know, usually there's no, it's terminal, but they can at least prolong the person's life up to 10, 15, sometimes 20 years, depending on how your body responds. So I did at least have that hope that,
Right.
we could possibly push it out another
Buy
10
more
years
time. Yeah.
before. Mhm. So all of us were, the kids included, were under that was the mindset that we all had, is like he's gonna get to the point where it's gonna be in remission, and with the continued research that's happening, hopeful that maybe they would find a cure, and that they, because that type of cancer is still relatively new as far as you know medicines and things of that nature, and how to fight it.
Mm-hmm.
So we were hopeful that he would go into remission and that we could wait for, updated medical research that could possibly, they'd find a cure.
Yes, I remember they told us the same thing for Lacey. Her cancer was in her bones, and so they did say the same thing, that hopefully they can prolong her life enough that technology advances along with, and that new things will come along or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
So
wow, that's
what
terrible.
yeah, it's so hard. So tell me about like the very end of his life. Like, were you able to be with him? What was that like for you?
Every moment, the entire time, I never
Okay.
left. The
Oh,
thing,
that's great.
and now during COVID, mind you, where they were having very tight restrictions
Yeah.
on in it, coming and going in and out of hospitals and things of that nature, especially. So it worked out that I was able to come and stay. So I was in the
Mm.
hospital the entire time. My kids would bring me if I needed, change. I packed a suitcase and basically moved into the hospital.
Wow.
And
Wow.
then same thing with when we were in the hospice center. I never left.
That's
I was,
awesome.
yeah, I was there the whole time.
Wow.
Were your kids able to be there with
Uh,
him at the end?
my kids, funny thing about that, my kids are on rotation.
Mm.
My daughter had this, she was there. They would let two of them in at a time. So she basically would stay, but the boys, my sons, they couldn't handle it emotionally.
Mm.
They would
Mm-hmm.
come for several hours and then they would leave, but my daughter would stay the night. The boys were just like, it was just too
Yeah.
much for the boys to stay for long periods of
Yeah.
time.
I totally understand that.
Yeah, so the boys were
It's really
different.
hard.
My daughter was actually with me when he took his last breath. It was my daughter and I that were sitting at his bedside.
Sorry, were you going to say something?
That's the thing about having like two hosts. We're like, who's talking next?
Yeah, yeah.
No, I just wanted, first of all, to tell you how I'm so sorry I am that you and your kids went through that. It's such a horrible experience that no one can understand unless you've been through it.
Yep.
And so then you go through all of that. He passes away. What does life feel like? Right. Let's say like the next day, the next week. Like, what is life like in the very beginning for you?
Well, oh God, it's so bizarre. Looking back, I'm like, how did I even make it through that first year?
Right.
To be honest with you, it felt like I was a foreigner in my own life. That's the only way that I can explain it.
That's a great.
That's
wow.
amazing.
I know a lot
I've
of
never
people
had someone.
that.
Yeah, I never had someone explain it so well. That's an amazing way to explain it.
Because to me, it felt like I was visiting myself. I didn't recognize anything about my life at all anymore. Nothing seemed as though it should be. As a matter of fact, I don't even remember the drive home from the hospice center.
Wow.
I don't remember how I got home. I don't remember getting in my car and driving. So the next morning, when I woke up after like maybe 2 hours of sleep, I was like, did I drive myself? How did I get here?
Wow.
Everything felt surreal. Time didn't feel the same. Like I felt like I was in some kind of a simulation, if you will, because nothing felt like it should be. You know, I've been to other countries, and when you arrive, you don't know how to communicate, you don't know how to act, you don't know where anything is, you have to ask for help, you have to ask for directions, nothing. That's how it felt in my life. It felt like
Right.
I don't even know how to get up and do regular things, like make coffee, which
Yeah.
I've done since I was in my 20s, because you're so overwhelmed with grappling with the fact that this person is no longer here, and what do you do with that? What do I do now? Because okay, here's an example. First time I went grocery shopping, and I'm going to write a book as well. This year is my year to write a book.
Let's do it. Yes.
And it's based on this situation that happened that made me think, yeah, I need to talk about this. I went grocery shopping for the first time after his death. And that even by itself felt like a foreign thing. I have been a homemaker our entire marriage for 25 years. I did the grocery shopping. So I know the store like the back of my hand. I mean, you know, this is normal, regular for me. I get to the mayonnaise section, and my husband liked Best Food mayonnaise. And he was adamant that I was to buy no other brand, no other kind. I better not bring Miracle Whip in this damn house. Okay? Best Foods and Best Foods only. So for 25 years, actually longer, even when we were engaged, I bought Best Foods. I get to the mayonnaise section, and I'm like, I don't have to buy Best Foods anymore. Like, I'm allowed now to buy I could buy Dukes, I could buy Hellmann's. But the thing is, I've always bought Best Foods because that's what my husband likes. So why would I buy any other kind of mayonnaise? So now I'm standing in front of the mayonnaise section, and I'm like, you don't have to buy that. And then I'm thinking, okay, but what kind of mayonnaise do I like? I don't even know, because I've bought Best Foods for the past 25 years. And is there a difference in the mayonnaise anyway? Would I be able to tell? This is a conversation I'm having with myself in my own head, standing in front of the mayonnaise while people are just walking by. And I'm like, if I tried Hellmann's, would I even know that it was different from Best Foods? And then I just start crying, because I'm like, I can't pick a mayonnaise. And I'm like, you know, then I got angry, because I was like, why is there so many different kinds of mayonnaise anyway? Why are we allowed to have 50 kinds of mayonnaise? This is so difficult. So I bought the Best Foods anyway. I bought the Best Foods because I was like, that's what I've been buying for 25 years. I'm just going to keep it simple and just buy the Best Foods.
Well, you know what they say, you bring out the best foods, you bring out the best. So
we are not sponsored. We are not sponsored.
We're not sponsored. Right. No, I totally relate to that. It's different for different reasons, but I completely relate to that, just being so overwhelmed at the grocery store. And so I totally get that.
Well, that's such a great way to explain it. Yeah, I love that. I remember different, but the same, you know, just like it was something dumb, like some Chef Boyardee meat, something that, I don't know, something that Luke liked that no one else ate. And I just stood there crying, looking at it like, I don't have to buy that. Like,
yeah.
Right. Because why
yeah,
exactly. His favorite ice cream, his favorite type of bread, and again, those are the things that are hard to explain to people when you go through that kind of grief, because I've lost my father and I've lost my grandmother, and both of those deaths were very hard for me because I was very close to my grandmother and, of course, my dad. But it didn't change how I go grocery shopping.
Right.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't change your day to day.
It doesn't. Right. And now all of a sudden you lose a spouse that you've been, and part of yourself dies along with that person.
Absolutely.
And it's really hard to explain that to people, that kind of grief is just, it's overwhelming, because now you're grappling, not only are you grappling with your feelings of losing that person, but you're also grieving the part of you, the part of yourself that died along with that person.
Yes. Yes.
Because your own life becomes unrecognizable. And people don't get that, because I've had people say to me, Andi, you're such a different person. And I'm like, yeah, I lost my spouse. I'm no longer the Andi that was attached to Jason. So of course I'm a different person. Of course you're not going to recognize me. That woman that existed, she's no longer here. Now, of course, there's parts of me that even before Jason will always be me, the Andi that I was before him and I ever dated. But as a result of being married for 25 years, that those parts of me, the wife and the best friend, the companion, those parts of me are no longer here. Like I tell my friends all the time, they're like, hey, you want to do blah, blah, blah. I say, yeah, I ain't got nobody at home waiting on me to get back by a certain time. I'm not cooking dinner for 2 people. I cook for myself now. My life is completely different. Of course I'm going to be different.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, there's so many things that, again, that people don't think about. So like also like the inside jokes that you had that now don't mean anything to anybody on this whole planet. The plans, the dreams that you had together, the hopes, the silly little conversations that only you and your spouse had, that those are dead now too. And so it is really interesting. And also, like you said, when you're married for that long, you kind of forget who that person was before that person. You've built up yourself as an identity with this person.
Yep.
And that is your identity. Now, of course, we always say our identity is in Christ, but like, on earth, like our identity is very much entwined with who we've become with our spouse. Because also, I was actually just talking to Dean about this. There's so many like idiosyncrasies that you pick up from each other to where after time, you don't even know where it came from. You don't know who said it first. You know what I mean? Like, where did that come? Did I start saying that and then you said it? So, for example, this is a silly example, but Tina uses the word bonkers. Like, oh, it drives me bonkers. And I just thought it was cute. And so now I find myself saying it. But had I not have brought that to her attention, and just to say it was cute and that I say it now, but like 10 years from now, we might not remember who said bonkers first. It's just you pick up each other's idiosyncrasies, habits, the things you like, the things she likes, the things he likes, whatever. And so you are very wrapped up in your identity as a married person. So when that's gone, you're right. There is this, and I love the way you put it, that you felt like a foreigner in your own life. And that is just like, oh my gosh, I remember that feeling of just being like, who am I? Like, what now? And so, wow. I really relate to that.
That's really good. So, the beginning of your journey,
Tina liked it
too. What is life like for you? Do you start working again? Are you plugged into like a community? Like, what is life like in the very beginning?
Well, try losing a spouse anytime, but try losing a spouse in the middle of a pandemic.
Yes,
yep, we all three are there. Yeah, actually, Lacey died only like a few weeks after your husband died. She was August 13th, 2020.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
Man, oh man.
Yeah.
Nobody's meeting in person. All of the places that I would have normally went for support are closed.
Yep.
So I really, boy, I tell you what, it was rough. I joined a couple of Facebook groups for widows, which was how I met you, I met Robin. I met several really amazing women through that Facebook group, because I didn't know where else to turn for that kind of support. in the middle of a pandemic. I barely ever even left the house just to even just go grocery shopping or do the things that were necessary. And in a way, the blessing in that was that I was able to go inward and not have people showing up at my house unannounced. And, there were some benefits to being in isolation and quarantine because my kids and my mom were with me. So I did have built-in support here at the house. I wasn't completely alone. But that first year, like I said, was, looking back, just really bizarre. I felt like I was existing, but nothing, I was not working. I did get some insurance money that I was able to live off of in the beginning, so I wasn't too worried about finances. But here's another thing. I also was not the breadwinner in our family. Jason was. And I also didn't pay any of our bills. He handled all of our finances. So in the beginning, now this is advice that I do give to married couples. Make sure that both of you know how to access everything.
Yeah,
yes,
for sure.
Everything. Because I was really angry with my husband when he was in the hospital, and I'm still, processing everything that's being told to us. And I'm asking him for logins and passwords to things like Netflix and Hulu and like stupid stuff.
Yeah, and who do we pay our electricity bill to or whatever it might be? Yeah.
Because he's the one who handled our finances.
Right, yeah.
So when he died, I had to, make all the phone calls, switch everything over, send the death certificate, yada, yada, put this in my name, that, and the third. And I'm grieving. So I can't even say to the person on the other end, like, as soon as I'm like, well, my husband just died, and now I'm crying. And now I'm crying to the person at the electric company. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's not to take anything away from it that it was, I know you were having a good outlook on it, that it was during the pandemic, but you're right. That made everything so much more intense. Yeah. And the world felt so weird on top of our world becoming so weird. Like, exactly. And so it was like, oh my gosh, like what is happening? Like, everything just, for me, that the pandemic like really, really added to it. And especially being in California during the pandemic, it was crazy there.
Yes.
And so I just remember everything just felt so dreary, and like it just, I really thought like the world was ending.
Yeah. And not only that, I had friends that had people in their families that were dying from COVID. So
right.
I had one friend that she lost her grandfather to COVID. My son had a friend from high school that her husband was hospitalized for months with COVID. So on top of it, the fear of getting COVID myself, like, so it's not just grief, but now you're living in fear. And there was so much, misinformation about COVID because they didn't know. So like, should I wear my mask? Should I not wear my mask? Should I go in public? Should I not go in public? Should I go to a restaurant? Should I not go to a restaurant?
Well, and everything was changing daily.
Yeah.
Like, it just, whatever, well, I won't get into that, but yes, it was just changing daily.
So that's what made that first year incredibly hard, because for myself, I was in transition. I worked in accounting before my husband was diagnosed, and I hated that job. I've done accounting for years and years because I can, but not because I want to. And it was causing a lot of stress in my life. And so just before he was diagnosed, he said, quit the job. If it's that depressive for you, just like, you don't have to do it. Find something else. So just before he was diagnosed, I was in transition trying to figure out what I wanted to do in this next chapter. So then when he got diagnosed, I became 100% caretaker. I was doing like Uber, like, doing things to supplement income that wasn't a committed 9-to-5 type of job. And he worked right up into his death. So we still had paycheck coming in. So after he died, then I was left with the question, what do I want to do with my life now? What kind of career? Because I'm 54. At the time, I was 51 when he died. 50, I think I just turned 52. No, 51 when he died. So I'm like, I'm in my 50s. I'm not going to, like, a lot of people do it, and kudos to them for people who go back to school in their 50s and get a master's in whatever. That's not me. I'm not built that way. Yeah, I'm not going back to school. So, you know, I'm like, what do I want to do? And I raised my kids. So I was, you know, I did catering, I did accounting, I did little things, but not anything that was career. You know, I could go out and get a job in my field, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I'm like, what am I going to do with my life? And trying to figure that out. Oh man, that was like, you know, incredibly difficult because, like I said, I'm in my 50s and I want to do something that I enjoy, but also now I have to be able to financially support myself now. So I had a husband that did that, and now I don't. So how am I going to take care of myself and do something that I love? Because one thing his death taught me, I am no longer willing to do things that don't add value to my life. And
that's awesome.
And that is not just things, that's people as well. If you don't add value to my life, I don't have time, because time is our greatest commodity, and I don't have time to waste on people, things, places, activities that don't add value to my life.
That is so true. That is such a great way to live too, because, you know, I was just talking about in the last episode that, I mean, it's not exactly, but it's along those lines, is that, you know, you are like the 10 people you hang out with, your circle of influence. So you surround yourself with positive people, and it really makes you into a positive person. If you're surrounding yourself with negative people, you're going to feel down all the time and sucked down. And so like that, you can apply to all kinds of things across your life. And I like that. That's neat. Cause yes, we shouldn't be wasting our time on things that are bringing us down or whatever, you know, or people that are bringing us down or whatever, you know. So that's a good insight.
So how did you figure out what you wanted to do? Like, how did you get to where you are now?
Okay. Well, first of all, on my kindergarten report card.
Okay.
We're going way back to the beginning.
On my kindergarten report card, the teacher wrote, Annette is a delightful student, but she's a social butterfly and talks too much. She needs to learn how to talk less, which I still have not learned.
That's okay.
Because when you're built that way, you're built that way. So at the 6-month mark of my husband's passing, I was really feeling a really strong need for connection. And so I had started a podcast on Facebook. It was a video podcast, live video podcast, and Michelle was one of my guests on that. I did it for 4 months. Through that experience, I received like what I would say as like accelerated healing. It really was, because with each person that came to share their story, the takeaway that I got from each person and was able to apply to my life, I really felt like, wow, I really hit the jackpot, because I met some of the most amazing widows and widowers that were willing to be vulnerable and share their stories, and I didn't feel alone anymore. And so it really accelerated my healing process a lot.
Wow, yes.
When I came out of that, I felt encouraged. I felt championed by the people that, you know, that I had met. I felt like my perspective on things had changed. My vision for my future had changed. And just hearing other people's, you know, stories of what they did and how they were able to overcome certain things, it infused hope in my life. And at that time, I was finally able to say, okay, if Michelle could do it, I could do it. If Mark can do it, I can do it. If these people that have shared their stories with me can do it, then so can I. So one of the things, I had the privilege of having the absolute most amazing man ever that I married, who was my greatest cheerleader. And he left me with these words before he died. He said, honey, I'm not going to be here. The kids are grown. Your mom does, your mom needs you, but you don't have to take care of her like a baby. I want you to be selfish, and I want you to do the things that you've always wanted to do. So anything, he said, anything that you've ever put on hold or put on the back burner or didn't do because of me, because of the kids, because of whatever. And he said, I don't care that you're 50 years old and that you have gray hair. There's an audience that has to hear what you have to share.
Wow, what a good man.
Oh, what amazing. The most amazing man, I'm telling you.
That's so selfless. I love that.
It really is. And so because of that, I felt empowered to do that. And so one of the things that I have always wanted to do was to be a truck driver since I was 18. Well, because I chose to get married, because I chose to raise my kids, I didn't go that path, and I have no regrets. I did what I wanted to do, and I raised my kids, and I loved every minute of it. But I decided that I was going to pursue that. And so I just this past last year, April 11th of 2023, I got my Class A CDL, and
nice.
I'm driving a rig. So,
congratulations. So awesome.
And
that's super cool.
And as my youngest son says, Mom, you're a mother trucker.
A mother trucker. That's awesome. So are you like a local driver, or do you take things across the country? Okay.
I'm a local driver. I'm home every night. Everything that everything I wanted in that job, I got. I got the amount of pay that I wanted. I got health benefits. The company paid for me to get my CDL.
Wow.
I drive local. I'm home every night. I absolutely love the job. And one of the things that I love is that I drive by myself. So
you're your own boss.
I'm alone. I also meet amazing people along the way. Like, I've met so many people from so many walks of life. I deliver moving boxes for U-Haul.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
So I drive a flatbed truck with the boxes on the back, and then I deliver empty boxes. And so people that are moving from all over the country are coming here or leaving here. So I love it because I get to meet new people every day. I get to make my own hours. I'm making the money that I needed to make, and I'm doing something that I actually enjoy doing. It's so fulfilling to me to, pull up to a house and have a woman go get her toddler and come and sit on the porch and watch me work because they're so excited to see a woman driving a truck and running a forklift, and they're just like pulling the thing. So
I was going to say, do you get a lot of these?
So cool.
My kids and I did that all across the country on the 40. It's awesome. Every big truck.
Yeah. So it's added a lot of joy to my life, but then I also do music. I'm a singer and a rapper. So on the side,
I remember that.
So I've been writing music. I'm actually going back in the studio this coming Friday to work on a project.
Awesome.
So it's allowed me to open up to do other things. Now, every year, what I've decided is every year I'm going to challenge myself to do something that I've always wanted to do. Like, I want to learn American Sign Language. That's also something I've always wanted to do. I don't have a reason. There's no one in my family is hearing impaired. Mm-hmm. It's just something that I've always been super interested in. So this year I'm like, I'm going to learn sign language.
That's awesome. This is so like what we try to tell people, like, find something you love and go do it. That's super cool. Is it, okay, so I have to ask a couple. So do you have a CB radio?
No.
I was going to say that'd be such a good podcast idea. Just sitting there. Yeah. Anyway, so I was thinking of that. And then the other thing I was going to ask you, so I've driven big trucks before. Nothing that just a regular driver's license did it, but like 20, I think I could drive up to like a 26-foot box truck. So one of the things that was always really nerve-wracking for me is when you have to block traffic to like back into something. Does that make you nervous?
Nope.
No? Oh, that's
Wow.
awesome. I cannot stand that feeling. I'm like, sorry, everybody. I'm sorry. I have to stop everybody from doing everything for me to back my one truck up.
Okay, it used to, but I'm going to share something else that's beneficial for widows. I just started taking some supplements. I started taking magnesium. Okay,
Nice.
let me back up.
Yeah.
Let me back up a little bit. I suffered from the worst case of insomnia after my husband's death, which is very common with a lot of widows and widowers. Because for me, I did not want to go to our shared bedroom and our shared bed.
Yeah.
I only went to our bedroom when I was exhausted. I mean, it had to be like,
yeah.
And so I rarely slept. And then my body just was, I guess, not producing enough melatonin, whatever. I just was not sleeping. And then I started following this fitness instructor from here in Nashville who talked about black seed oil being a supplement that really helps people with insomnia. So out of desperation, I started taking black seed oil, which indeed helped with the insomnia, but it also helped with other things like inflammation and other things I was feeling. And then I started recently taking magnesium, vitamin D3 with K2 combination.
Mm-hmm.
And that, what you're talking about, that kind of anxiety is gone.
Oh, wow.
So things that would normally rattle me a little bit, like, because I have to get on the forklift and take these boxes off. I block traffic often. And I used to be like, when I first started, it really would rattle me because number one, I'm vulnerable because I'm on a forklift. Mm-hmm. I've got a big box on the end of my forks, and sometimes the road's not very wide and I have to stop traffic and this, that, and the third. It did used to bother me until I started taking the supplements. And now I'm cool as a cucumber.
So it was K2, D3, and magnesium. So does the like D3 help you absorb the K2 or something like that?
So D3 has the potential to build calcium buildup, and K2 blocks that. So the K2 combats you from getting calcium buildup from the D3. So
that's interesting.
And you can buy the supplement already combined. So
okay.
Or you can buy them separate, or they do sell them with, a combined,
like on Amazon or from a health store or something.
Yep,
anywhere. Okay.
One of those.
And I'm gonna write that down too.
And the magnesium now there's different types of magnesium. Mm-hmm. So the one that I'm taking that helps with the anxiety is magnesium citrate.
Mm-hmm. Magnesium citrate, right? Is that the drink?
Yeah.
I do it in a powder form, so it's a.
Is it Calm?
Is it what?
Is it called Calm? CALM?
I think that's a variation of it. Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah. Okay. They make a great product that helped me sleep. It helps your muscles relax and all that.
So that has helped me.
D3 magnesium. Yep. Sorry, she's writing it down for me because I was like, "Where's the paper?"
But I didn't realize that I was struggling with anxiety. I didn't know that I was. I thought that it was normal for me to always feel like a basket case. I thought that was cool. Like I'm just like. So when I did get on the forklift and I didn't feel anxiety about stopping traffic, then I was like, that's weird. Normally I would be, because I was just like, I have the attitude like, hey guys, I'm going to be here as long as I need to be.
Need to, yeah.
And I'm sorry that I'm blocking traffic, but that's just the way it is. So either, find another route, go around, just pretend I'm a train.
I have a friend named Rhythm. He's a truck driver and he delivers around San Diego. And if you've ever been to San Diego, that is a frustrating city. A lot of one-way roads, and it's a tough city to navigate.
Also, a lot of really good-looking people running in their jogging shorts in San Diego.
I have not noticed that. But so anyways, he drives down these streets, and I asked him, like, does it like bother you? He's like, pfft. It used to at first. He's like, I don't care. I'll stop traffic. I'll be like, you're just going to wait there until I'm done. Exactly. I'm going to get my pallet down and I'm going to go at my pace, and you're going to wait until I'm done, or you can go around, I'm like, wow, oh my gosh, that pressure. Like I couldn't do that. He's like, no, I don't care at all. I'll stop my truck right in the middle of the street. I'll get out and people are honking and I'm like, hi.
I know it's funny. I actually even think about what Jason would say, knowing that I got my license. And so there's times when I'm in really like kind of like questionable situations because I have to. I sometimes I take my truck into places where I'm up a windy road in Tennessee hills, and trust me, I'm like, oh my God, I'm really doing this. And then I'll always be like, look, Jason, look what I'm doing. Aren't you proud of me?
That's pretty cool. So are you driving like what are they, like 14 speed or like the
No,
transmit, or are they automatic?
automatics.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So I had some questions about that too, if you were driving one of the manuals.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Oh,
I think I said I'm 54. That means I'm smarter now than I was 20 years ago.
I love what you have done. Like when I talked to you the
Yes.
other day, I was like, our listeners need to hear this. And I love that Jason gave you that permission to do whatever you want. And I want to just give that advice to every listener that your spouse would want the same thing for you, even if they never verbally said that to you. Go out and find what makes you happy and what you want to do in life. Like I'm in a new period of life where I can do that. And it is like the most freeing, amazing thing to be like, what do I really want to do with my life? Like, what is it? And you're such an amazing story of that. And I can see it like on your face and in your voice that you are fulfilled and happy, and you're figuring out like your purpose in life and what you're doing, and you're meeting all these amazing people that you would have never met. And I just think that's absolutely amazing. So what advice would you give to like a brand new widow? I know there's so many things, but what would you say?
I think the number one thing looking back, allow yourself to go through the process. Don't beat yourself up. Like that first year, actually the first 2 years for me were ridiculously hard. And like you have to learn how to process the grief, right? Because I think, was it you that said, somebody told me, oh, it might have been my therapist. My therapist said that that grief is like glitter. Grief is like glitter. She said when it first happens, when you get glitter somewhere, it explodes and glitters everywhere, right? And when you try to clean up glitter, you don't get it all. So you clean it up, and you think you've got it all until one day you move the end table, and then whoops, there's some more glitter that you missed.
There's some more grief. Wow. That's
good.
A good analogy.
That's so
grief
good.
is like glitter. That's a good. Man, why didn't we think of that for a title?
No, so good.
It's so catchy.
There's actually a song. If you look it up on Spotify or Apple Music, whatever,
oh, okay.
It's called Glitter, and it's about grief.
Oh,
wow.
And
that's such a neat analogy.
It really is super helpful because she's like, you think you've cleaned it all up. You think that you're good, you're fine. You're like, I'm so Gucci. That's what I like to say all the time. How are you doing, Andi? I'm Gucci. I'm so Gucci. But actually, there are times that there are certain things that happen that will trigger that. Just like you move the end table and then you see the glitter there, and then you're just like, now I'm not fine because now I got to clean this up that I missed.
Yeah, and that's like my dog's hair.
Pretty much,
it's everywhere.
It's so good.
If you allow yourself to go through the process, as long as you understand that there are going to be those really dark, bad days.
Yep.
And it's okay to live there. It's not okay to stay there.
Right.
So you have to, be your own cheerleader to be like, okay, Andi, you know what? I'm going to allow you today to go ahead and cry and watch Princess Bride because that was his favorite movie, and you're not supposed to cry at Princess Bride, but I do because that was his favorite movie, and now it's a sad movie now, so sorry. But allow yourself to process, because if you don't, they're going to manifest themselves in other areas of your life. If you don't allow yourself to process, it's going to come out in ways.
It'll come out as bitterness or anger or whatever. Yes.
And so like I've learned, his birthday June 4th is the hardest day for me. All the other holidays, even like Valentine's and everything else, I feel sad, but for whatever reason, his birthday takes me out. And every year it's like that. Every year it has been like that. So I've already now given myself permission this June 4th. I don't care what is going on in the outside world, outside of this address where I live. I'm not doing anything. I'm not going to work. I'm not hanging out with friends. I might not even get out of bed. I might not even take my pajamas off. I might not even walk the dog. She might just have to let herself out. I don't even know.
That's awesome though. I like that. I like that you have such a, what I would describe as like a handle on your grief. Because, and it's not that you don't feel grief, but it's that you understand it, you recognize it, you're taking, approaches to combat it, or to however you want to word that, deal with it, walk through it, whatever. But I think it's very, very good to be self-aware like that. And also I think it's super cool that you just pursued something that you just wanted to do, that most people wouldn't like be like, oh, that's a great idea, or not that there's anything wrong with it, of course, but it's what would you say, like unconventional or something? I don't know the word I'm searching for, but people like, I just think it's cool that you're like, I want to do this, so I'm going to do it no matter what it is, and that's cool.
The thing of it is this, for me, the way I look at it, and what I'm saying to new widows: be proactive in your healing, whatever that looks like for you.
Boom.
So for me, I've always been, what I'm doing now is not anything because I'm a widow. I've always been the kind of person that when I want to do something, nobody's going to stop me. And actually, it's even better when somebody tells me that I can't do it. Because when they're like,
I hear you.
Andi, you're going to get a CDL. You can't get, I can't? Did you just say I cannot? Once you tell me, but I've always been that way. That's not because I'm a widow. Now, and I say that to say this, if you're not that type of personality, and say you want the most amazing garden because you're a gardener, that's something that I'm not even remotely interested in. I cannot, like, if it's not something I can go buy at the grocery store and buy there, we're not eating it, because I'm not growing my own lettuce. I'm not growing my own tomatoes, strawberries, none of that. But if you are an avid gardener, or it's something you've always wanted to have a beautiful garden, it could be something as simple as that. If you're into interior decorating and you've always wanted to like decorate your house a certain way, it can be you want to read 30 books that year. You want to, it doesn't have to be something grandiose or something like what I did. It doesn't have to be something that's life altering, because changing, growing a garden can be life altering for you. You can start your own YouTube videos on how to properly care for tomatoes, or what the difference. As long as it brings you joy, as long as it adds value to your life, and allow yourself to start with the small things. Maybe you, like I said, maybe you want to lead a Bible study at your church. Maybe you want to, do a type of like feed the homeless, or be active in your community, or, help foster a child, bring in foster kids, or take a missions trip, or there's so many things to do to add value to your community, which in turn will add value to your own life, because when we serve other people, it serves us.
Yeah.
So my advice to new widows and widowers: allow yourself time in the beginning to go through the process of grieving and allowing yourself to die along with that person. Because the truth of the matter is, there's parts of me that will never come back, because I'm not a wife anymore. Like I had one person tell me, they were like, Andi, you're just not the same person that you used to be. I don't even recognize you. And I laughed, and I was like, get in line. I don't recognize you. And they're like, you lost weight. And I'm like, yeah, because when you're grieving, you don't want to eat. It's not like, I mean, you know, you think I did some grandiose thing where I would bleed. I wasn't hitting the gym. I wasn't like, you know, I wasn't eating. I wasn't sleeping. I was a nervous wreck. My life, yeah, I lost weight, but how did I lose weight? I let my hair grow out.
Same way we all did.
So allow, you know, in the beginning, allow yourself time to process all of that. And then when you come on the other side of that and you say, okay, who am I? My therapist said this. I love that lady. I swear she said some things that just really changed my
Good
life.
advice. Mm-hmm.
She said to me, because see, I had trouble with the things that Jason used to do for our family, because I saw him as the pillar of our family, the one that was the planner, the one that was, you know, in control, paid the bills, made the money. And I see myself as the, you know, the spontaneous, creative, blah, blah, blah. So we balanced each other in that way. Now with him gone, now I have to pay the bills. Now I have to be the planner. Now I have to do things I've never done before. It's just terrifying for me. And when I was talking to my therapist, she said, Andi, it sounds like to me you think that you can't make good decisions for your life. That you put that on Jason, like Jason was the one who made all the good decisions for us. And I said, yeah, I guess subconsciously in a way, I do kind of feel that way. Like he was the one he was the glue that kept everything together. I didn't have to worry about things getting paid, or I didn't have to worry about our future and this and that. He did that. He took care of that. She said to me, who made the decision to marry Jason? And I was like, I made the decision to marry Jason. So she said, oh, so you can make good decisions. Mm. And I was like, oh, well, maybe I can.
That's good.
And so
that's awesome.
She asked me if I had my own apartment before I married Jason. I did. I lived on my own before I married my husband. She asked me if I paid my own bills before I married my husband. I did pay my own bills. She said, oh, so you did do all of those things before. She said, I want you to go back to the Andi that you were before you met your husband, because she still exists. That girl is still there. You just have to remember who she was and invite her into your life at this present moment. She might be older. She might look a little different, but that Andi that existed, 30 years ago is still here. So that would be my advice to new widows.
That's good.
Take time.
Great.
Go back and remember who you were before your spouse was in your life. Yeah. Were you
that's awesome.
And it will help you, because you will no longer be looking at your life only through the lens of being a married person. You will look at who you were before that married person.
Yeah, that's such good advice. So something totally different subject.
Okay.
But what are your thoughts on dating again? Where are you with that process?
Okay. Lord have mercy. Okay. Also, I want to give kudos to Jason for this as well. He told me before he passed, and I was upset about it, but he said, honey, if you want to date again, you want to get remarried, whatever you want to do, you want to stay single, I give you my full blessing to do whatever you want, because
awesome.
I won't be here. I don't want you to feel guilty. I don't want you to feel like you're cheating on me, any of that kind of stuff. So he gave me permission before he died to do so.
That's awesome.
The first year, believe me, that was not even on my radar. Mm-hmm. Right around when I did my podcast is when it started to come into, because I heard so many people's stories about finding love again after widowhood, and in different ways. And, that's probably the hardest part for me in widowhood is the loneliness.
Yeah.
The loneliness can be deafening at times, because when you have a built-in friend who's there all the time, and it's not even the intimacy, like per se, like the physical intimacy,
right.
It's the intimacy in like having someone to just be completely vulnerable with and be completely 100% yourself without judgment, without that person genuinely cares about you
Yeah.
And that companionship and that closeness is probably what I miss the most.
Right.
I had a very hopeful outlook that dating in my 50s was going to be easy because we're older and we're smarter. And of course, we're not going to play games.
Uh-huh. Not so much.
People are still people.
Yep.
So I got on a couple of dating apps. I will say I've made some really good friends.
Yes, that's good.
It's not been the best journey for me, but I have learned a lot about myself through the process.
That's good.
Because my husband, unfortunately for the men in Nashville, Tennessee, kind of set the bar really, really high because we had and not that I would ever go into dating with the expectation that any man that I date has to be like my late husband, because I think that's unfair.
Right.
And I think you need to treat each individual as an individual. Like I'm not looking for another Jason.
Right.
However, he did things in the relationship that kind of spoiled me in a way. I have very high expectations as far as how I should be treated. And so when anything falls short of that, I'm automatically like, nope, not wasting my time, because connection is really hard. Genuine connection is really hard to find. And I'm hopeful that I will fall in love again. I want to. I will say that. I definitely want to be in love and to be loved. It just hasn't been an easy journey for me. Pools that I have are dating apps, and I've tried the conventional way, going out. Men don't approach women these days anymore. And I'm always like, am I unattractive? Is that maybe I should dye my hair? Like, do I smell bad? What's going on? I took a shower. I'm wearing perfume. It's just a different day and age. And not only that, truthfully speaking, maybe I wasn't ready, because I finally feel emotionally right now at the 3.5 mark. I finally feel like I have a pretty good idea of what my triggers are, or the things that the things that will poke those areas that only a relationship can do. Like, there's certain things like rejection or abandonment and things of that nature that I'm not going to feel that way with, because my girlfriend didn't call me back after I text messaged her 2 hours ago. I'm not looking at her like, gosh, Tasha, why didn't you text me back? But if I'm dating someone and he didn't text me back after 2 hours of me, now I'm starting to think he doesn't like me anymore. But it's different when you're in relationship than when you're just, like my best friend, for instance. I'm learning through each one of those relationships things about myself. I'm hopeful that I will, on God's perfect timing, meet the right person for me.
Yeah.
And I've seen, like you, get remarried, and other people that I know that are widowed that did find love. So that's helpful for me, because I'm like, okay, it can happen. I just need to trust God for the timing of that, and that it's going to happen when it's supposed to happen and with whom it's supposed to happen with.
Right. Yes, that's true.
And I guess if I have to kiss a lot of frogs before I find my first person, then line up, frogs. I mean, what?
I love it. Well, you have such a great attitude about it. And as we always talk about on the podcast, let God write your love story, because it's more creative and amazing than we could ever think of ourselves. Right. And I believe that if that's the desire.
If you guys know anybody that you think might be a good match for me, trust me. I mean,
I will send them your way.
You guys have my phone number. Just tell them how amazing I am.
Yes. Well, and they can hear it on the podcast. But I just love your zest for life and just how you've shown people with your actions that you don't have to live in this. Yes, we visited, we went through that first horrible year, all that stuff, but like you don't live there anymore. Like you became a truck driver. Like that is amazing that you were just like, I'm going to do it. And I know that your words are going to be such an inspiration to everybody listening that like, whoa, Andi did this. Like I can do whatever I want.
Yes,
So I want to challenge you listeners to take a minute, write down at least 5 things that you've always wanted to do, but you never have. Like just take a couple minutes, write them down. We might even do a little post in our Facebook group and, from your inspiration.
Oh, I would love that.
Yeah. And have people share what are the things they've never done. In fact, I'm going to do that when this episode comes out and have people share that because I think that's powerful, that's awesome. And it is such an exciting place to be. And I just love hearing about Jason, just the quality of man he was and how he loved you and just such an inspiration. And his like who he is lives on through you and what you're sharing, and it's such an amazing thing. So just thank you so much for sharing. Mark, did you have any other questions?
I just wanted to say I agree with everything you said, and thanks for sharing your story. It's inspiring. I think a lot of people are going to get a lot out of it.
Thank you for the opportunity. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I absolutely love having you on here and just like staying in touch and seeing where your life goes. And it's been an amazing journey. So thank you.
Yes,
yes, Mark, would you like to close us out in
prayer? Yes, absolutely. Lord, I'd just like to thank you so much for this encouraging story that you've allowed us to share with many people and for the courage of Andi to come on here and share it with the world. And I just pray that a lot of people get blessed from this and that you continue looking out for Andi and continue giving her that positive encouragement in her life and that she continues to be a blessing to those around her. We ask all those things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Well, if you like this podcast, give it a little bing, 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you listen. Take an extra minute, write a little rating. It helps, a little review. It helps to get the word out. If you want to be a guest, there's a link in the show notes that you could fill out. We'd love to hear your story. Find us on Facebook, Widowed Too Soon, Instagram, all the places. So thanks again for joining us, and we will see you again next time. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.